Hey Trance family, Brandon Beatty Trance here. Welcome to the 13th video in our series where we're putting together an uplifting trance track completely from scratch. And in the last video, we added acids into the mix, and we also experimented with adding some drives to help push the track. In this video, I want to continue to push the track and also start developing the melodic mid-range. And so in this video, we're going to start adding some plucks into the track. We're going to start with like a chord pluck, maybe add a melodic sort of pluck, and then we can consider adding a pluck runner, which is like sort of a arpy sort of pluck. And we can also use plucks to sort of fill out the space and atmosphere of the track. So let's go ahead and create about 4 MIDI tracks. Okay, we're going to group these together and call this our Pluck bus. And I'm just going to place this a little bit closer to the saw pads here in the mix, just to make it a little bit clearer for me, sort of where the melodic stuff is. This is just how I like to work. And we're going to call this Pluck bus. And the first pluck we're going to work on is the chord pluck. And again, this is another sound that helps sort of drive the track and sort of reinforces the chords or the melodic layer. So we can go ahead in here and just, again, you can develop your own pluck sounds, or you can sort of go through some of these sound packs, like these Alan Watts ones, and we can find a nice pluck sound. So this, I'm just sort of playing fifths in the mid-range, and we're going to add this almost to the mid bass, and it's going to start driving the melodic layer of the track. And I'm just going to go through some patches here, see if I can find a nice pluck. I think that one's perfect for me for this sort of driving track that I'm going for. And let's just create a MIDI lane real quick. This one, we're just going to sort of drive that. I actually like that rhythm I'm playing. 8-bar loop out of it. And we're going to put that in with our rolling basses. So let's go ahead and loop that in. And again, to mix that in correctly, let's pull up span. So again, it's like sort of reinforcing this lower mid-range of the track. So those harmonics already sort of exist in the track, and we're just reinforcing it. I didn't even plan for that. It just kind of happens. So it's interesting. So let's hear it in context with the full track. So somewhere right there sounds about right to me. And so it should kind of sit with that acid sounds and everything. And again, just sort of subtly drive the melodic layer of the track. And then you can start building the melodic layer off of here. I'm going to call this chord pluck. And I'm not sure where we're going to quite bring it in at. Again, this is like up to you. You could even just enter. I think I like the idea of having the acid like solo type of thing here. I was actually thinking maybe bringing the mid basses out for like a bar right here. I forgot to actually sort of bring these all the way down. I guess that's okay. So we can just slowly fade them. Okay. And then we can bring the melodic pluck maybe in here. Okay. Yeah. So I think it's going to start driving with the clap. I kind of liked how both came in at the same time. So that was actually working for me. And what we also want to do is we want to take this sound and we want to create like a chorded version. So we just want to have this move through all the chords. So I think I was going down to F, up to C, down to G. Okay. And we will just so it just sort of reinforces like that area of the track, and we can bring this in when we want to, again, reinforce it. You can play with the filter, have the filter, you know, have it filter in. You can have it just sort of be sudden, but we are going to definitely bring this in for the drop. Oh, and don't get stuck in the trap where we have this extra bar, so none of these things are going to loop properly. So let's put this over here. Whoops. Bring this down a bit so it's not interfering with our super saw. You know, I like to do my channel fader. It's actually not doing bad. And then we're going to put some fab filter onto here. We're going to, again, do what we always do, chop the bass out of it. Or sorry, the sub bass range. You can even cut some of the high end out of it. We could even use the EQ to cut some space for our lead. Okay. So, but we'll focus more on like in-depth EQ cuts sort of at the mixing stage. Okay. Kind of like how it comes in there. And let's just see what it sounds like with kickstart for a second. Okay, I like it without kickstart. Okay, so let's get into the second pluck. All right, we're going to do a sort of melodic pluck sound. Again, pull up Spire here. Just going to go through some of these sounds I have. And we're looking for something that is not buzzy, definitely plucky, and yeah, like that really has like a nice sort of pluck to it. So here we're just kind of playing like a repeating pattern, maybe notes that are close to each other, versus a pluck runner might be more like, you know, spread out. like a wide range of notes. We're going for like a closer, tighter sort of pattern. So there, I'm like literally just playing A, B, and C. Let's go ahead, play the track, and just start jamming on top of it. Okay, it's actually like what I just did there. Super basic pattern. Sometimes you can just sort of play and record it. This is where you can just edit the MIDI now that we put in. And sometimes this can be easier than trying to manually put stuff in. So again, it's all about how you like to work. So I'm gonna line this up with the first note. And I guess I was playing about 60. And put some processing on it again. Okay, this is where you can sort of be open to layering sounds, because you don't always just want necessarily one sound doing these layers. So so this one I could actually just kind of copy this down, but I got to take out the fifth. So let's see what that actually sounds like with the chord pluck. We'll actually put the processing on them. Okay, let's see what it sounds like in context. Okay, so we'll mess with this a little bit later. So again, right now we're just kind of creating a palette that we can work with. You almost want to think of an orchestra. You know, an orchestra is like, they don't just have like one violin player, you know, it's like a group of violins, and then even those violins are sort of split into two sections to reinforce the sound. And so in a way, that's what we're doing. We're like literally having like an orchestra of synths. And when you add all these sounds together, you know, we're about to be over 50 channels of stuff in the mix. So, you know, for people who might be trying to do this on a laptop that's not like strong, you know, this can be difficult. So I'm on a desktop, and it's a powerful computer. So thankfully it can run enough instances of these synthesizers. Again, pull up some of these Pluck sounds. This one, I feel like I'm thinking more of like a futuristic sort of sounding Pluck. I'm not sure what that even means, but I'll know it when I hear it. So could do something with that. So let's go ahead. Okay, so let's try repeating that. Okay, so I just took a little bit of time to iron out the the Pluck runner layer. And I took a little time to play around with the chords just now. And I didn't want to do that sort of on camera because I just needed a little time to work things out. So this is how I changed the chord pluck a little bit. Let's have the top note traveling. It creates a little bit of interest, so we'll put that with some of the other layers in context. and took a little bit of time to again work on the pluck runner. And so I just want to talk about the different roles. So the chord pluck sort of lays like a rhythmic bed, and it can be a little bit melodic into the track. And then the melodic pluck sort of is that top melody that we're going to hear within the pluck section. And then the pluck runner tends to be mixed in a little bit quieter. It's sort of just running and creating a little bit of a background or an atmosphere. Okay. And so we'll mix that in. Again, we'll pull up span and see what it looks like. Okay. So it's just kind of busy. Probably gonna pull it back just a little bit more. I think it's sitting in there. Okay. Let me see how it sounds with the chord bed. Pull the runner back a little bit. And we'll put that melodic pluck in. Okay, so I think the last thing we can add is sort of like an atmospheric pluck sound. And so this will be like a little bit more rhythmic and fill out some space and just be kind of interesting. So let's pull up Aspire. That's sort of what I want to do with this track. I want to do like maybe like a pulse that's on top of the whole track there. So let's put Inspire, and it's going to be a bit aggressive, but again, let's pull down that volume a bit. Let's see what kind of lead sounds we can drum up. And I'm looking for something kind of aggressive. Ooh, that's very aggressive. That's pretty cool. Let's see what that sounds like on top. And we're just going to loop that. Check, make sure the notes line up and they make sense. Okay, I'm going to keep the natural sort of velocity changes I got from playing it live, and we're just going to loop this out and sort of figure out a good spot to bring some of these elements in. Okay, I think it's okay there. We'll pull it out, and then we'll start adding it back in maybe later. And what we could even do is maybe think about adding like a chord change somewhere in here, so it's not just like steady on the root note the entire time. So let's see. We could probably do that here, and this is up to you. You can either extend, add like 16 more bars after this and put in a chord change. You could make the chord change sudden. I think I'm going to go ahead and try doing it or in front of the track. sustain the acid note on the A, you could have it change through the chords. Sorry, we would cut it. We would split this here. And again, we could have the acid sound change on the chords with the melody. See what that sounds like in context. You can even just pull the acid out of that spot entirely. I've literally heard people do that. Grab the acid here, and then maybe fade it out by here. I might just keep it on the root note. So, okay guys, that's sort of how I get started adding some different pluck layers. Again, I'm probably going to take some time to clean this up, maybe rewrite some of these parts so they fit better. I mean, right now it sounds a little bit noisy, so I'm going to you just got to take some time to play around with this stuff and create things that are going to fit together. And again, help drive the track further, and spend time maybe making like a chord change and changing it up so it's not just driving that root note all the way through. And then don't forget to sort of bring this stuff back in for the recap. Okay. So I had some time to work out the melodic layers in some more detail and make everything fit. And so for the chord pluck, what I ended up going with is sort of this chord pluck that's also traveling the notes a little bit, just to get some variation. Okay. And then I changed the melodic pluck more to the 8th note variation I played earlier instead of this triplet variation. Okay. And I also changed the pluck runner to something that's a bit busier. And of course I have the pluck pulse just to kind of fill out that space. And the main thing is I want to point out that during the chord change, I made sure to sort of make everything change. So for instance, the melodic pluck does play a more chorded version. Okay. Same with the chord pluck. Okay. And I'll let you guys hear that together. Okay, so in the next video, we're definitely going to start working on adding some top melodies, definitely thinking piano, and see what else we can come up with.